Nothing contained in this videocast is intended to encourage the use of illegal substances. This videocast represents only the opinions of the host and their guests and should not be taken as medical or legal advice. In no way does listening, reading, corresponding, or interacting on social media with our content establish a doctor-patient or legal relationship. The content here is intended to share thoughts and opinions and foster constructive discussion. Please consult your healthcare professional for any medical questions concerning cannabis. The views expressed by hosts and guests on this videocast are not necessarily the views of Global Cannabis Times or any other company with which the hosts and guests are associated.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Going Global, a Global Cannabis Times videocast that looks to act as the eyes and ears on the ground in emerging worldwide cannabis industries. I'm Jim Ickes. I'm an attorney at the law firm Zuber Lawler, who has been representing clients in the cannabis space since 2006. I'm here with Arend Richard from Cirrus Social Club, one of the very first cannabis social clubs in the country. I'm very much looking forward to getting Arend's thoughts on his new business and where the industry's heading. Good afternoon, Arend. How are you doing?
Jim, better now that I'm here with you.
Fantastic.
Thanks for having me.
I guess to start us off here, you want to just tell a little bit about yourself and your background and what you got going on?
Yeah, sure. Name's Arend, 34 years old, living in Denver, Colorado, born and raised in Colorado, though I did do a brief stint in both New York City and LA. Have been working in the cannabis industry for, it's funny, I always want to say 6 years, but it's 8 now because time keeps moving. So been in the cannabis industry for 8 years now. Got my start back in 2017 when I created a YouTube channel where I was educating people about cannabis. Just kind of fell onto it. At the time, I was actually auditioning for acting stuff and Broadway stuff in New York. And they were like, if you have a social media presence, it will help go a long way. And so I started making YouTube videos, and I was a medical patient for cannabis at the time. And I knew that there was a big gap between people's first time consumption and understanding how to properly use cannabis. So I started making tutorial videos about how to safely use cannabis. That channel grew to 200,000 subscribers with tens of millions of views in a year, and was deleted in 2018 by YouTube when they went through their great YouTube purge, along with hundreds of other cannabis channels. And I was lucky enough to be friends with a lot of the people who were deleted at the time. So I got together with them and we co-founded a platform called WeedTube, which went on to be the world's largest cannabis social media platform with 6 million users and 1 million app downloads. I ran that for 3 years. And then in January of 2022, Colorado legalized what we call marijuana hospitality. And I knew that my dream of bringing, hospitality or food and beverage in with cannabis and getting people high for the first time or giving them a memorable sesh experience, I knew that it was time to jump onto that dream, because prior to weed, I worked in food and beverage.
Wow, perfect.
Yeah.
So what is going on right now with your business?
Yeah, right now we are about 6 months out from opening. We are at work on the building, doing the improvements on the building for the space. It's not just standard. We have to put new carpet and new paint. We also have to install a $500,000 mechanical system for the ventilation to make sure people can consume cannabis safely in there and keep the air nice and clean. Also, our building is from 1939, so we have to do some facility upgrades to make it current, including like tapping the city's water into a larger water main. So right now it's just prepping the building, and we are also fundraising for the last little bit of money we need to get the doors open in 6 months.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So I want to back up a little bit because you said something that's interesting and I think is really important from the normalization of cannabis standpoint on really educating people on, I guess, proper consumption for themselves. So I think it's great that you started a channel, because I think education is that's why we have this video cast. But I think education is an important thing when it comes to cannabis. What was your approach on your videos and educating? Your main theme?
Yeah, I think the main theme was, here's a device and here's how to use it. And I think what we've kind of taken and developed out of when you make a video called How to Smoke Weed from a Pipe or How to Smoke Weed for the First Time, and you get 1 million views on it, you're going to get a lot of comments from people saying, thank you for your help. And you're going to get a lot of comments of people saying, that's not how I would do that. They should have done it this way. And so I kind of think I have one of the best experiences in knowing how to get the largest group of people high for the first time and to not piss off stoners while doing it. You know what I mean? So yeah, for example, like you meet people and they don't love weed, and it's 99% of the time, why don't you love weed? Oh, I had a bad experience. What did you do? Edibles. Right. So it's like, well, I would never encourage someone to take edibles for the first time unless they were fast acting, but that's, a whole other ball game. So it's just, yeah, a lot of experience in getting people high for the first time. And now with Cirrus, we've gotten over 500 guests high now, and over 100 of those were first time consumers. Yeah.
I'm also, I think, I know so many stories of people who, it's overdosing, I would call it that, when you take too much for whatever your body needs from a cannabinoid standpoint. It has negative effects. I mean, you hear the stories of the paranoid consumer huddled in the corner because they don't understand the feeling they're having and they just had too much of it. So I think education is really a wonderful thing, and I think it's great that you have that background going into a social scene where you can kind of cultivate that that education within your business. I think that's great.
Right, because our big goal is to be the place that the world goes to get seshing together and to really appeal to the largest amount of people. And when we're sort of the first people to do this, where we're like, we are for the general public. We want the general public to come in. We want to be the guides of the general public. It's not just for people who love weed. It's for anyone who wants to come have a unique experience. And sort of when you're doing that, it's really important to make sure that you don't get anybody too high, because you'll lose your reputation very quickly.
No doubt. They'll have a bad experience. They didn't like how it made them feel, and because they had too much.
Exactly.
They didn't have the right calibration of cannabinoids for them.
That's right.
So,
and all you stoners out there listening at home, when you're getting your friends high for the first time, they don't need as much as you need, you guys. They don't need it. Give them 1/100th and they'll be fine,
Yeah. We don't want a paranoid ball on the floor, not understanding what's going on. And unfortunately I've seen that. And that's somebody that maybe could use some cannabinoids even for inflammation related issues. And they're not going to, because they had a bad experience. So I'm glad you're out there on the front lines educating folks. So just delving into, I guess, some of the hurdles. Obviously, there's a lot of folks that want to get into this business. It's kind of the next, some say last great frontier of cannabis. So what are some of the big hurdles that you think you ran into, and maybe how'd you overcome them?
Yeah, I think the hurdles are not having a solid framework to go off of for us, and being the first people to do it. Like, there's a lot of things that you don't consider that when you start getting into the nitty gritty of opening, you're like, oh, the city requires us to do this for this specific type of business. Or, like I said, the ventilation system. I mean, we knew we had to have clean air, but nobody thought it was going to be a $500,000 project for clean air. But that's certainly a hurdle. And then, as well as, in Denver, we have to go through a neighborhood needs and desires hearing. Luckily, we did 2, because we had our original license that was for a BYO concept, bring your own cannabis and we would serve you. And then we went back and got the hospitality and sales license so that we could actually sell cannabis on the site. And we were lucky for both. We were very supportive. I think our branding spoke to people, and our messages that we put out to the community spoke to people in a way that said, hey, we want to do this right and take care of the neighborhood and sort of be something different than what you think it's going to be for cannabis. But it's stopped a few other businesses out here from being able to find a property because the neighborhood votes against it.
Okay. Wow. So how did you go about your community outreach to build support?
We put giant vinyl decals all over the windows of the outside with our branding on it, and with a letter to Denver on the corner that I wrote. Wow. That was explaining to people, I'm from Colorado, born and raised. I want to create this business here and launch it across the country. And I want to do that all while keeping Colorado in mind and respecting not only this neighborhood, but on each level of what kind of citizen you are, whether you're a neighbor of us, whether you're a citizen of Denver, or whether you're a Coloradan. I want you to be able to say you're proud to have Cirrus be a business that's part of yours. And also just tabling every single day. We would put tables out front of Cirrus where the team would sit out there and meet with anybody who came and passed by and kind of talk to them about what it was that we were doing. And we got good feedback and we got bad feedback. But in the end, our second neighborhood hearing, we had no opposition whatsoever.
As a lawyer who I've had to go and kind of wage war on the front lines as with reefer madness at zoning hearings, where the public gets to stand up and speak and regurgitate maybe some falsehoods and misunderstandings regarding cannabis, and you have to try to change their mind. That's really unique that you didn't have to face that. Well, obviously, I think Colorado's different. They're out in front, so I think culturally and socially, you already have a presumption of openness, probably.
We definitely do have that advantage being in Colorado and being the first. I would say also that Cirrus is sort of a concept that I think when we're on the other side of it being open, to put it simply, I think a lot more people would enjoy cannabis in their life. And they're sort of afraid of it because of the stigma, like they would never touch it. And I really think that Cirrus will be that door that's like, hey, come into this familiar environment that is beautiful and comfortable and have this experience, realize what it is, take the demonizing of it away, and I think it'll help open a lot more doors for cannabis consumption across the globe, hopefully.
And when I found you on LinkedIn, it caught my attention because the way that I always look at cannabis as something that's very multidimensional, multicultural. Everybody has their own way of conducting their cannabis lifestyle. And obviously that's evolving and changing. And the way that you're doing cannabis is kind of flips the script because I thought it was very elegant and almost refined and inviting how you are laying out your club. So you want to dig into that a little bit and how you developed your own style and where that came from, and I'm sure it's interesting.
Yeah, I've always been I am a member of the alphabet mafia, as they say, the LGBT community. And a lot of us, not all of us, but a lot of the members of the alphabet mafia have an eye for style, have a uniqueness. And I certainly grew up with that. I remember being like a little kid and when all my boy cousins were like, can I have a baseball for Christmas or a basketball? I was like, can I get new curtains to match my bed set that I just bought? And I'm like a little kid, right? Like it always meant so much to me to like decorate and make things feel really special. And the further I've gotten in my life with, my career and success, and as things become, you can attain different levels of things. I just think for like the last 3 years, I've been living in this beautiful environment surrounded by cannabis. And because even when we started Cirrus, it wasn't like, hey, we're going to make this beautiful weed lounge. When I first started going for it, I didn't know what it was going to be. I just knew I wanted to do a concept where people could sesh together and there would be some food and beverage. And when we got the building, which is an 8,600 square foot space, I said, this is huge. Whatever the concept that goes in here, it has to be good enough that we get the most people coming in every single day. And that's where Cirrus was born. And coincidentally, it just so happened to be very in line with my style and what I wanted to do. And so, yeah, I don't know. I definitely have a flair for the fabulous, but it's never, ever for me been about the way anyone else perceives me. It's for me, I believe weed loves to be around beautiful things, and I am high all the time. So when I'm high at 6 o'clock in the evening and the sun is streaming through my back window, and I'm just looking at the environment around me, it's for me. It's because I want to sit in the beauty. You know what I mean? And that's sort of what I want to translate into Cirrus for other people.
Well, that sounds like a perfect ethos for cannabis and in a social environment. And that's one thing I love that idea of cannabis being something that's kind of emerging from the shadows, and the consumers are emerging from the shadows, and so many people don't realize how social it is.
That's right. I truly think weed has made me a better person all around.
Yeah, and I hear
So
that with a lot of people who get up and go to work every day, take care of their families, and you know, go to bed at rational hours, and just otherwise, very productive adults. And um, you know, they happen to use a plant that is stigmatized, and they're portrayed as stoners. That in the stoner culture, that and I appreciate that you're going against that, some of those stereotypes, which are fine and they exist for a reason, and I celebrate those and appreciate them. But it's certainly, there's more dimensions to it, and all different kinds of folks utilize the plant for various reasons. So I love
absolutely.
what you're doing, obviously, and I'm glad that we've had a chance to talk today. So alcohol's come up a few times here.
Hmm.
Actually, it seems like cannabis and alcohol are always, are leveraged against each other in debates. And are you alcohol free at your establishment? Or is that mandatory?
So it is a mandatory rule that cannabis and alcohol can't be in the same space. But
Okay.
even if it was allowed, we wouldn't do it. And the
Okay.
reason is because uh, branding is so important to me. Like a brand, your brand is everything. If you don't stand by the vows of your brand, and what Cirrus is it's a sesh and munchies but elevated, and
Yeah.
there's no room anywhere in that brand for alcohol.
It's going to be interesting how the alcohol infrastructure responds to the rising tide of cannabis drinks in particular, which I want to talk to you about those, and particularly the low dose hemp derived variety. Are you going to have cannabis drinks at your establishment?
If I find one that tastes good,
Okay.
and I'm so sorry if that's shady, but I haven't found one yet.
Okay.
And we
That's
wouldn't do hemp derived because of Colorado's laws. We can't do hemp derived.
so what's unique about Colorado's laws that prohibits
Well, they
that?
just, I am not an expert on this, but I just was hearing about it at the National Cannabis Industry Association panels a couple weeks ago. And apparently, there's a few states, but Colorado is one of them that we don't allow hemp derived cannabinoid products to be sold in dispensaries or in our marketplace. So, like if Chong's, Cheech and Chong have that new edible line, they can't deliver it to Colorado. And it's like a hemp derived THC. I don't know what that is. I don't know if I'm wrong, but there's some sort of initiative about hemp derived intoxicating THC
I
that is
think
not allowed.
I think there's a prohibition.
Yeah,
Uh, there's a hard line between both, the legal industry, legal adult use industry, and probably the hemp side.
that's right. Yep.
But that's
So
going to
I know
be.
we can have CBD, but we can't have intoxicating hemp.
Do you know? Have you come across? Are there? I don't know if you go to bars at all, or even restaurant bars. But I'm curious if you're seeing hemp derived THC products being sold at those places.
No, not at all. Not anywhere that I've been.
Okay. All right. I'm curious about that. I'm reading where it's popping up in different places, and I think it seems. I think in Minnesota, that's happening.
Hmm. And I
So
certainly know of some spaces like illegal markets that have dispensaries or cafes with hemp derived intoxicating products. And it's interesting. Those things are interesting. And I have full respect for the people that are doing them. You got to do what you got to do with what you have. But it doesn't really feel like it's proving a market. You know what I mean?
yeah, um, I am curious whether or not the hemp derived Delta 9 side of things is not kind of the key that picks the lock to like full scale normalization in a way. and getting those low dose products out to the general public, and lower dose, so they won't have those experiences that we talked about, right? Maybe kind of assist in normalization long term, because they're so pervasive. And then there'll be the, like, I think folks like you and I would prefer to frequent just cannabis only establishments, because I think it's going to be a whole new vibe, and many different colors and different vibes that people can go and experience. So I think, hey, I saw the Steinway was delivered. So why don't you tell a little bit about that?
Yeah. One of the things, one of the big goals when we started really working on Cirrus was we knew we wanted to get into Architectural Digest. We knew that that would be a way that we could sort of differentiate ourselves and immediately take up space somewhere that weed has probably never taken up space before. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure nobody has. So there's certain ways you can do that. And when we talked about what we wanted the background to be, again, trying to make it the most comfortable for the largest amount of people. And we also have this policy in our branding that says that's the NANA rule. It's the number. We have 5 rules for Cirrus, and the 4th rule is the NANA rule. And the question is, would NANA go if you did the thing that you're wondering if we should do? When we take music into consideration, it's like, would NANA go to a sports bar? No. Would NANA go to a rock bar? No. Would NANA go to a hip hop bar? No. Would NANA go to a place where they were playing jazz and oldies on a piano with maybe a 3-piece band around it? Absolutely. And so that's where we kind of come into, okay, we want to have a piano. We want it to be piano forward. I also went to school for opera performance. I come from a very music family. I play the piano since kindergarten. So I love it. And my business partner actually was the one who was like, okay, well, if you want to get into Architectural Digest, get a Steinway, and that will help with the pull, and it'll also be an attraction. And so we go meet with Steinway, talk about designing this custom piano, and we end up ordering a Spirio Model B. And this is the most advanced player piano in the world. And essentially, if a pianist was giving a concert at Steinway Music Hall in Brooklyn, it could cast to all of the pianos, including ours, and our piano would play exactly what the player was playing in Brooklyn. So we can do remote concerts. So let's say Alicia Keys wanted to do a concert with Steinway. Our piano could play the concert for everyone in the same time that she's playing the concert. So it was just a really cool thing. And then we decided, okay, we want to get this custom colored and we want to have it be unique, and we want to do a different color in every future Cirrus location. Like we have the next 4 colors already picked out. And yeah, it took about 9 months to get here, and we just unboxed it last week, and it's insanely beautiful.
Yeah, I look forward to it. That's for sure. I think cannabis and entertainment go together probably like peanut butter and jelly. So what's the overall plan for entertainment at your establishment?
Well, the ultimate goal of the business is to be a place where people come and have a sesh together and they have an experience together. So it's not heavy forward on, okay, we're gonna have a comedian tonight, or we'll do this tonight or this. We will have special events like that. We'll probably have them twice a month. But the main goal, and again, this is fingers crossed, it's not proven, it's not validated, but the main goal would be the entertainment is in the sesh experience with the flight attendants serving them and with the conversation that they're going to be having together.
Wait a minute, flight attendant. So that's I think that's the name of your serving staff is the flight attendants.
The servers of cannabis, yeah, and the people who take the orders, and that's another
brilliant.
big pinnacle piece of the brand too. So yeah, flight attendants.
Fantastic.
Yeah. We actually I posted a reel on Instagram last year of me giving one of the flight attendants one of our Cirrus bongs for Christmas because she had worked really hard, and she was the newest staff member and she was the only one that didn't get one. And we posted this video of her opening it and being all excited with the hashtag flight attendant, and all these airline employees from everywhere started commenting on it. It blew up. They were like, what kind of airline is giving their flight attendants bongs? What is this? So it is kind of a fun play on words, and we see a big future of redefining flight attendant.
I love that. That's fantastic. So, big picture, what's the plan? Are you just hunkered down, focused on what you're doing now, or are you peeking beyond the horizon?
So peaked, so peaking far beyond the horizon. We have a big picture plan for Cirrus and for more than just Cirrus, and I think that there's a lot of opportunity in this industry. And so, I've been personally working with some coaches and some mentors on just building a larger plan and building a 10-year vision and a 20-year vision. And yeah, we have big plans.
That's great to hear. So,
Yeah.
what team did you build? Maybe tell us a little bit about your team that you put together for this venture, and I'd love to hear that.
Yeah, we have a wonderful collection of investment partners. Um, my original investment partner on the project before we found out how much it was going to cost to really do this, he has a long history in owning businesses. He's also from the Alphabet Mafia with me, so it was wonderful to have a fellow, gay man working with me on this. And then when we started reaching out for new partners, we had basically like a finance wizard who worked for some conservative banks for like 30 years over on the East Coast. He was the CEO of some Fortune 500 companies. He's raised hundreds of billions in capital, and nobody in his world knows that he consumes cannabis. And so he's very passionate about Cirrus. He's retired now, and we're kind of like best friends, which is really fun. So we just, we take care of business and try different strains together, and it's wonderful. And then we have my interior designer and our general contractor both love the project so much after coming on well into its existence, and they've put their own money into it as well because they really see the future roadmap. So we've got them. We've got our food and beverage director, Crystal Wing. She's incredible, a wizard with foods, and knows so well about how to pair food with cannabis in really great ways. She's run a cannabis catering company here in Colorado for a long time, so it's awesome to work with her. And then my special events and special partnerships manager, Joya Guglielmelli, who is one half of the famous YouTube duo Two Girls One Bong, responsible for millions of views and content about cannabis consumption. And we've been friends for a long time. Work first, we were like working friends first, and we've become really close over time. And she's sort of just like my right hand in all of this. And that's sort of the team that we have right now, along with some wonderful flight attendants.
Fantastic. So, what's the target date for opening?
Let's say September,
Okay.
but don't hold me to that.
And how long has this journey been to get to this point?
We leased the building because you have to have a building, develop all the plans before you can even apply for a license. We leased the building in August of 2022. It will be 2 years of the process by the day that we open. And you know what? Thankful for it. Thankful for the whole process. If we would have opened right away with what it would have been fun. But I don't think it would have been as well thought through and as perfectly tailored to our guest and our market as it is now. So now, whereas 2 years ago, I was like, oh, we're going to open in 6 months. And it was like, I could kind of picture what it was going to be. Now I'm like, okay, we're getting close to the end, and I know exactly what opening day is going to look like. I know what the next one's going to look like. I know how you know what I mean? So I'm grateful for the amount of time that we've had to put the thought into it.
Awesome. So where do you two more questions, and I appreciate your time so far because I know
Only two, Jim? You're not going to go all day? We could go all day. No, I'm just kidding.
we could. I think we could go all day. So the future, where do you see? I guess maybe hospitality generally. Where do you see it going?
Yeah, I see hospitality. There's two roads, I think. I really think either we're going to see a major adoption, especially of cannabis beverages into mainstream markets like NFL stadiums and basically anywhere you can get a beer. I really do see that happening for beverages no matter what. As far as hospitality outside of the current existing infrastructure where alcohol is sold, I see two roads. I see a path where we have a ton of successful concepts where, every 5 miles, there's a nice weed lounge for people to go spend their time together. And they're all a little bit different. There's sports bars,
Mhm.
there's restaurants, there's nightclubs, there's different things. Or
About arcades? Did you see that?
definitely arcades. Actually, the original reason I started Cirrus was because I wanted to do a laser tag, bowling alley, arcade where people could consume cannabis. And I thought that would have been really fun. Uh, or the secondary choice would be maybe it's just Cirrus and then cannabis beverages everywhere else. Like maybe Cirrus is like the place that everybody in the world is like, oh, that's where we all go to sesh together. And that's where we have this unique experience. And we don't need a ton more of them. I don't know. It could be either one.
Or both?
Because we have hospitality concepts that exist, but none of them are like just hitting it and slaying. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's going to be exciting, and it's definitely going to seep into our culture overall. And you know, it turns out that people really like it. If you could just look at the numbers, we had an event in Cleveland, Ohio. My firm did a few weeks back, and we sold out all the tickets. No, we didn't. They weren't for. We didn't sell them. We gave them away, but we had. We were fully booked, and there's a lot of excitement. You get to just feel the excitement in the air, and I think people are finally feeling a little bit liberated and validated that they committed their life to the plant, and taking down prohibition. And you're right there on the leading edge of it, and I'm really excited for you. And I sense a success. So if and many cannabis people have been waiting a long time to be able to go to a place and have the right vibe that they want to be around, and make friends, take friends, and experience it in a unique way. So it's going to be exciting.
And I think it's more than that too. I think cannabis people want it, and I think the proof is out there. People since the pandemic want to do things with their life. They want to go out and have experiences. Experience spending is up like crazy. So I think we're going to see a lot more people enter this cannabis world too. And they're not going to know everything that we've put up with for the last decade. They're not going to know, but
it's been interesting for sure, and exciting and disappointing, because I think it's a broken record about when prohibition is finally going to fall, and we're still waiting. So
and we are,
and people are still in jail for it, which is obscene. But I think we're what you're doing and what's happening around the peripheral is going to lead to normalization, and I think people want it. And I always talk about the iceberg under the water, and that's all the folks that could use cannabis, but they're not presently because they're rule followers. And thank goodness we have rule followers in our society in many respects, because it probably keeps things really stable. But when
we have to change the rules.
Yeah, that's true. That's right.
Yeah, the rule is the problem. It's not the people, it's the rule.
That's right. But it's the people that are protecting the current rule and the status quo that need their minds changed. And but I'm glad you're out there changing people's minds and talking about proper consumption. I would say rational dosing, right? Rational dosing of cannabis is where it's at, and that's where normal is.
Slow.
Yeah. So, anything else you want to share before we wrap up?
Yeah, if anyone listening is intrigued by Cirrus and would like to have a membership or a gift card to support us and kind of help prove the concept, you can go to cirrussocialclub.com/members. We're selling gift cards. If you spend $50, you get a $100 gift card. If you spend $100, you get $200. And we also have memberships for sale, including a lifetime membership that you'll never have to pay for again, which just helps show your support in Cirrus and helps us as well. And if you're listening and interested in joining our incredible investment team and being part of a future empire, feel free to reach out to me. My name's Arend, A-R-E-N-D, Richard. Would love to chat. But you got to be the right person.
That's right. So sounds like you have a great team, and I hope it's going to keep growing. So that's fantastic. As we wrap up, say thank you to Global Cannabis Times for allowing us to get the word out about you and your business and pioneers like yourself. So thank them. I'd like to thank my firm, Zuber Lawler, for allowing me to take a break from my law practice to participate in discussions like this. So with that, we conclude, and thank you, Arend, and I will see you soon.
Yeah, thank you, Jim, for having me, and thanks everyone for listening.